Good evening. Good to people are looking to us on this very talks. Welcome, my colleagues Thomas and see how.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you
Everybody
again.
can have a conversation with leading a meeting place where we can have the conversation to know personalities, companies, also technology from the berry industry all over the world. I'm co-hosting this with Thomas and Siham, and we have a new guest today. Can you help us to introduce him, Thomas?
Yes, today we are very pleased and honored to have Professor Bruno Mezzetti joining us from the Marche Polytechnic University, which is an Italian-based university. Thank you very much, Bruno, for accepting our invitation and joining us today. Can you tell our audience a little bit about you and what is your role in the berry industry worldwide?
Yes, thank you, Thomas. Good afternoon to everybody, to colleagues, and I want to thank also you and your colleagues that invited me for this interesting initiative related to the berry talks. Well, I'm a full professor at the Marche Polytechnic University, Department of Agriculture, and since already more than 30 years, I'm a researcher working mostly on berry breeding, biotechnology, and a cultivation system. So I've been developed different strawberry cultivar. In fact, most of my work is on strawberry, but I did some experience. I'm still working also on raspberry and a little bit of work also on blueberry, and clearly also other fruit crops, including grape and stone fruit and pear. I'm a professor of fruit culture, so in some way I'm also teaching all different crops. Specifically in berries, I'm active, as I said, also because since last August 22, I am the new president of the Wine and Berry Division of the International Horticultural Society. And actually, I want to remember that my predecessor was Bernardine Strick, and so that unfortunately he passed away last week. So I want really to remember how Bernardine was important for the scientific community, but I think also for the technical community of the berry world, of the blueberry world. As a chair of the division, I'm strictly involved in the organization of all activity related to berry, grape, and kiwi. In fact, besides the activities that we are organizing now in Italy, I'm already following the organization of the Rubus Symposium that is expected next July in Portland, Oregon, organized by colleagues from University of Washington University, and Oregon University. And then I want just to remember to the community that another important event, it will be January 24, the Kiwi Symposium that will be in Auckland, New Zealand. And we are also working already on the Blueberry Symposium that will be again in Canada, in Halifax, in August 24. And another clearly important event that we are working on is the organization of the International Horticulture Congress that will be in August 26 in Kyoto, Japan. So I see a lot of work to do in the next 3-4 years regarding berry work, but not only berry, also grape, kiwi, and also other berry. Well, also strawberry in 25, it's already in preparation, and that will be in China. So that's my presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Mezzetti. You are a full professor in fruit crop breeding and biotechnology at the Department of Agricultural, Food, Environmental and Crop Science at Marche Polytechnic University. You are also involved in a project to develop the berries in Europe. Can you elaborate a bit more about this project?
Yes, thank you, Shihan, for your question. Yes, I'm since already several years strictly collaborating with a quite large network of European scientists and companies that, thanks to the support of the European Union, and actually this is already the fourth project that we have approved from the European Union in the Horizon 2020 program. And that, thanks to this different project, we have been able to carry out different research projects and programs, but all mostly related to the study of genetic resources and new breeding programs, and also new biotechnology programs that can be used for developing new strawberry, but not only strawberry varieties, with high competitivity for the European market. This strong support from the European Union for research on berry crop is coming from the fact the European Union has identified of interest, of importance, the berry industry even for the European community, and in particular also for the European consumer. And so they found this as an important opportunity to create new product and increase competitiveness, a new product for the consumer, and increase competitiveness for the industry. In this last project that started last year in 21, I'm coordinating it, and it is called, it is named Brinivarium. It's involving 20 partners from 8 countries, 8 European countries. The duration is of 4 years, and it has a budget of about 7 million euros that we use for developing a specific research project focusing on 3 berry crops. The first one clearly is strawberry, then we have raspberry, and then blueberry. The idea of this project that actually it's included in a large program that the European Union has developed related to the importance of maintaining and using genetic resources in agriculture. It comes from the idea that in the last decades, the intensive breeding programs have contributed to reduce the genetic resources. So all the new varieties practically are originated by always a limited and narrow genetic base. So this have 2 effects. One is that we lose a genetic resource, then one, and the other that we lose specific traits that can have specific genes and traits that can have an important benefit at agricultural level, at consumer level. So the aim of the project is to explore the genetic diversity still conserved in the different research institutions, public and also private research institutions existing in Europe, at least among the 20 partners that are the most important we have in Europe that are included among the 20 partners involved in the project. And on this genetic material, we practically apply new technologies for a genomic analysis, so to identify the genetic variability existing in this large population of genetic material, not only breeding material, but from the wild species to the old germplasm to the old cultivar, and these are the different categories that we identify. The old cultivar means cultivars that were cultivated until 40 years ago. Then the new cultivars that have been released in the last 40 years, and the new advanced cultivars that is the new cultivar in the very recent, originated from the very recent program. So we aim to explore from the genetic point of view, using the new genomic tools, so molecular GWAS study, genomic selection, molecular markers, and genome sequencing, all the genetic diversities that is still existing for strawberry, raspberry, and blueberry. Clearly, strawberry is more important because for strawberry, we enlarged our evaluation over a population of about 15,000 different genotypes. So we have in Europe a very large genetic diversity in strawberry. While for raspberry and blueberry, the genetic diversity is already very narrow. In fact, we were able to include in our study only less than 100 different genotypes, different accession of raspberry and also of blueberry. So just to give you an indication how narrow is the variability that is already we already have in for this crop. Then combine also the genomic study with the phenotyping study. So combine the genes with the trait, so identifies the trait of interest, and see at the metabolomic level how this gene and trait are associated to specific metabolomic pathway. This in particular for the analyzes the content of specific compounds that we know are important in berries, both because of the nutritional value, but also because of the sensorial value. In fact, we know, everybody knows that the berries are important for the consumer because of the nutritional value, but also the fact that the consumer are attracted by the berries because of sensorial analysis. So we have metabolomic analysis to identify compounds that define the sensorial and nutritional factors, but associated to the metabolomic analysis, we combine also the sensorial analysis in order to identify what are the most important traits, sensorial traits, that make the consumer more attracted to the consumption of the berry. We consider such information really important, in particular for company or organization performing breeding programs, in order that they can better address their selection procedure in order to identify new improved variety that have such specific sensorial traits that can be of higher interest for the consumer. So that more or less in synthesis is what we expect in the breeding value project.
Thank you very much.
For the picture of this project, how is the status of the market at the moment?
Sorry, I was not able to understand.
Yes, we now have a little window where, where we now have a little window where we speak about the market, right, George?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, the market at the end of April for berries in general in Europe is getting slowly back to normality. We have seen a very difficult March with low availability from the growing areas in Morocco and Spain. The situation is going now back to normality, and many supermarkets are now planning their promotions since we expect for both blueberries and raspberries to be in full swing from now onward. So far, there has been different levels of quality. Certain markets have been forced to take the lower quality because the prices were particularly high. In particular, we have seen in Italy, for example, a lot of smaller fruit, which could be regarded, I think, as much as a second class or a second choice at least. On other markets, there has been more room for better fruit and better prices. Now the prices are going back to normal levels for this time of the season, since so far we have really seen a late season for both Morocco and Spain. This has reduced the availability so far, but now we are going back to normality. So we hope that from now onward, the seasons will be pretty normal. We will have probably more fruit available in April and in May than usual. The Italian crop is expected to be on time with blueberries, so we expect to have first Duke available from the north of Italy at the beginning of June. That's all for the markets.
Thank you. Thank you for the Bruno. We have always, when it's possible, Thomas, what the trend of the market. So that's why. So let's go back to you. In breeding varieties, what do you think? It's the first. What is the scenario of the varieties that have to focus now in your opinion? And also, you are also involved in this breeding value project. You also involved besides strawberry breeding in other projects of breeding.
Well, thanks for this question. It's not an easy question. Well, specifically for strawberry, but I would say not only for strawberry. The breeding, it's really big. It became a big business, and the situation is going to change. And I think that it will change furthermore in the next period. Until now, I think that it was possible to have breeding programs even with smaller capacity and smaller breeding program. Actually, in the past, I was also tried to have a map of all the breeding program, and there are many breeding programs in Europe about strawberry, and still many of these breeding programs are existing. But I see that some of these breeding programs, the smaller breeding program, let's say even our breeding program, are having difficulties because. Maybe not because of the fact that this breeding program don't have interesting material. We think also in our case that we have interesting material, but the issue is how to reach the market. Now there is a very, very strong competition among companies, and so the issue is not to really at the hand to have the most important, the most, let's say, improved variety or better quality, better yield. Clearly, you need to reach a standard. So you need to reach a standard in terms of yield, and you need to improve clearly the standard in terms of quality. That in reality, for the consumer now, is measured at least in terms of firmness, that is more for the growers and for the retailers, and while for the consumer it's just bricks. So these are the three more yield, firmness, and bricks in some way can summarize the needs that you have in releasing a new strawberry variety. I will say similar also for other crops. But the issue is also how to organize transfer the introduction of your variety in the market. This is very complicated because there are big company, larger company entering in the market. They have very strong capacity in terms of nursery organization, marketing strategy, and so on. So that maybe even if the variety is not really so improved, so perfect, and so on, in some way can more easily have a higher penetration in the market. So, and this is really, at least in what we say, more a global market. In fact, in some way, we can also consider this aspect, that particularly for some market destination, we can have two types of fruit. The fruit that is for the global market, so that can be stored, shipped, and so on. So in that case, farmers became a priority more than the bricks or more than the aroma or some level of aroma. And let's say the local market in which you can have fruit that maybe are a little bit more soft or soften a little bit more fast, but with higher quality. In this case, you reach a local market. You can reach a local market. You reach a consumer that is looking for such kind of specific product that maybe go directly to buy the product in the farm, and so is also available to pay a little bit more the product. But clearly that remains a niche market. So also in our case, we see that we can penetrate this niche market, but the number are generally clearly lower of interest at commercial level, clearly, but always lower in comparison with what you can have when you are able to enter a more global market. But again, in that place, it's not just an issue related to the quality of the variety, but it's also related to your capacity to manage the organization of the production of the market. So this is one important point. Then, just to conclude, from the scientific point of view, as I was saying at the beginning, I'm also involved in carrying on biotechnology program. And we work on biotechnology also on strawberry. We consider strawberry one of the most easy crop to test and validate new genomic and new genetic tools. And we are seeing, I see the possibility, maybe really now at the moment when you speak biotechnology on berries, on strawberry in particular, sometimes people say, no, that is a closed market. It is the end story. In reality, I don't think that it is an end story. I see that there is a lot of, at scientific level, there is a lot of scientific movement also into biotechnology, not all because, again, I was mentioning, we are doing a lot of study at genomic level. And that study at genomic level finally help us to classify the different genetic material, but also help us in identifying genes of interest. And so we think, and a lot of people is working with the gene with this gene of interest, for example, for improving quality, for improving shelf life, for improving yield, and particularly disease resistance or everbearing traits. Some traits that in general are very interesting and very important for the berry crop. So I hope that maybe is my hope. I don't think that, but I don't think that it is so optimistic. The fact that in the next future we will start to see, maybe not directly on the market, but also the companies, the industry start to evaluate and assess a new product that comes from the combination with the technology of the different breeding and biotechnologies. With the hope that the public will start to look at this and consider it as a potential new product for the market and accept it.
Dr. Mezzetti,
thank you for the answer.
I would like to speak about your other activities beside research and teaching, your activities and involvement in events and organizing events. You said that you have a planning of events until 2026 that is already booked. I would like to speak about your next event in Macfruit, the Blueberry Days event. Can you please tell us about this International Blueberry Days?
Yeah, well, thanks for this question. It's just so we can speak about Macfruit. Well, this I'm directly involved together with Thomas in the organization of this Blueberry Days that will happen next week. Well, that was the idea of Macfruit president to consider blueberry as a key fruit for presenting Macfruit all over the world. And this because I understand, and well, data, and Thomas is following the data, are showing that however berries in general, and in particular blueberry, are showing an increasing demand, increased interest from the market, and increase related to the increased demand from the consumer. And so, and this, it looks interesting because, as you know, not for all fruit there is such kind of situation. And so, and there is a lot of interest in the full chain of the blueberry industry. So starting from the nursery to the growers to all the materials that are needed for the blueberry cultivation, the market, and also all the machines that are needed for processing, storage, packaging, and so on. So there is really a strong involvement of different important sector of the fruit industry related to the blueberry production and commercialization. So this is, I think, this is the reason why they decided to consider blueberry as a key fruit in the next Macfruit that will start next Wednesday, May 3, with directly in reading. Before we will have the blueberry school, one-day blueberry school here in Ancona, more focused on research with a limited number of people. But then the most relevant events will be directly at Macfruit on Wednesday with the Blueberry Symposium. So it will be an event open to all people participating to the blueberry, to the Macfruit fair, and it will include a list of speakers, of international speakers, that will bring their experience, their knowledge related to the blueberry industry, but not only industry, also research and technology and development. So we will have some speakers that are also related, Europeans, that are related, coming from European research institute, and that are also linked to the breeding value project, so they will report of the research activity that they are doing in at least in Italy, in Scotland, and in Turkey for the blueberry for the breeding value project. Then we will have other speakers related to coming from Portugal and Poland. So together with the Scottish and with the Turkish people, we will have a very good vision of what is the European dimension of the blueberry industry, from research to the production to the market. Then we will have a very large international vision that will include the participation of 3 important speakers from 3 important areas. That was one of my idea that I strongly try to achieve this result, to bring here representatives from two important companies, worldwide global company, like it is Driscoll, that are, it's a US company based in Watsonville, California, that are well known all over the world for the berry production, clearly or strawberry, raspberry, but also blueberries. For them, it's important. So we will have the breeders of Driscoll that will give us an overview of what are the main breeding program or main objective of the activities that Driscoll is carrying out on blueberry all over the world. Then another important contribution will be from the Costa Group, that is from Australia. So one expert from this organization from Australia will be here. That more or less like Driscoll, they are operating at global level. So not only in Australia, but in North Africa, in Asia, South America, and so on, more or less like Driscoll. So it will be really interesting to see to compare, to see together what the Driscoll and Costa are doing all over the world. A third important speaker and representing a totally, in my opinion, a totally new area that luckily was able to confirm just last week the participation because from China now still there are problems related to the visa, but finally my colleague Cheng from Liaoning Research Center, that it is north of China, will be present. He has been one of the persons that also, thanks to collaboration with European groups, was able to promote the cultivation of blueberry in China. And actually, in my opinion, it's interesting to underline the fact that practically until 20 years ago, blueberry cultivation was not existing in China. Well, it was existing as wild blueberry, but not the cultivated blueberry. In the last 20 years, 60,000 hectares are now cultivated in China. And so they have really done a strong work in introducing cultivar, introducing technology, developing technology, adapt technology to their capacity, to their type of cultivation system. Really interesting to see, for example, the kind of greenhouses they are using, typical Chinese greenhouses that are very interesting also for this type of cultivation. So that will be three really interesting presentations from at global level. And then, okay, the presentation also from the consultant like Jorge Esquivel, and all these people that will bring their experience in developing blueberry cultivation. It will be the symposium. These people will be present at the symposium, but will be present also at the school. Well, then May 5, there will be the global players, so another group of global people, but more operating on the market and production on the market. Thomas will manage this section on the global player. And then just to conclude, also Friday, in my opinion, it will be a very interesting day, very full day, because we will start with a workshop on sensorial quality. As already said, sensorial analysis is very important. So how to define a nice blueberry for the consumer. And this will be followed by a consumer study. So we will set up a number of tables with offering fruit sample from different cultivars and asking to all participants. We aim to reach at least a population of 200 people, a number of 200 people, minimum 200 people that will sit and will listen and will understand to make this kind of consumer study. And we want to get this information from at least 200 200 people. This will be open from 11 to 4 p.m. So for the full day, who will be at the Mac Fruit can go there and taste the fruit, and give us the opinion. Then after, there will be another important event that will be a kind of training on how to prune raspberry. We are setting up a demonstrative, to prune blueberry. I mixed up with the berry, sorry about that. To prune blueberry. And so we are setting up a demonstrative blueberry field, including plants of different age from the first year, second year to the first year. So very big plant in pots that were taken out from the field 2 months ago before pruning. And so we'll be in the field, and we'll have people that for 1 hour will go and prune with the video. So people that want to learn how to prune the blueberry can follow these small courses and interact with the people that will prune the plant. To conclude the day, then after there will be a short presentation from all the company that have contributed to the preparation of the demonstrative field. So company providing pots, providing plants, providing nets, irrigation system, and so on. So all company, for people that want to have more information about the different material needed for setting up a blueberry field, people from the different companies that contributed to sponsor and to build up that field will be available to present and to discuss their material and their information. So for everybody, I hope really to meet you next week in Rimini for the MacFruit. Microphone. Thomas, you are muted.
Thank you, Bruno. It seems already a very rich program. Let me just say a few words also about the program of Thursday, which is called the Global Players. During this event of International Blueberry Days, we really want to show where the blueberry industry is going worldwide. If we think back just 5 years, the scenario was completely different. And in just 5 years, we have seen new growing areas, new consumers, new ways of marketing the fruit, new varieties. This really seems unbelievable, but this all happened. And who knows what will happen in the next few years. We will listen to the key players of the industry telling us what their strategies are. We will have speakers from Peru, Agrovision, for example, from Chile, including Fusan, from the States, California Giant Berry Farms, and from an emerging country which is already facing interesting challenges like South Africa, one of the key markets around the world for berries, which is UK. And then we will concentrate also on Europe with the different growing countries. Spain, we will have speakers from Sanlúcar and Costa de Huelva. Portugal, a speaker from Green Factor, and also from Poland. So it will be really a very, very rich program. This is just in one day global players. And as Bruno said, the program will spread basically throughout the whole week. So I really think this cannot be missed.
An unique event.
Hey, you, Thomas, are in our organization, and you have introduced the Blueberry School. What's going to be the future for the school? Is it going to be once a year, or do you expect that with this start up of a more specific line of practical coaching and teaching would be open a possibility for future courses of blueberries in Italy or even nations. What is your opinion on that?
Yeah, well, about the school, well, as I told you in the past, we have been already involved in different projects, European projects, and in all the European projects, we have always included, we started to include already some years ago, the Berry School. I can tell you that that experience has been always really, really interesting. I still meet sometimes people around the world thanking me, saying, "Oh, Bruno, I remember I was for the first time at the first berry school you organized, and I'm in the berry business." And that school was really helpful for me. So I will say that the berry school is something really of high interest, and we should really try to keep. Not only so that's one reason why we propose also as a MAC fruit, and also this blueberry school is linked with the breeding value, European breeding value project, because some teachers are said also coming from the breeding value project. Why? I think that this kind of school can be very interesting, very important, in particularly in this situation that can be, for example, the MAC fruit. Because I think that sometimes there is not always an easy connection between what we do, let's say, as researchers, scientists, and the more practical and the commercial or the industry. So I think that this type of organization event, being more interdisciplinary, including scientists, technical experts, and different people that have experience on or researchers from public or private institutions. It's really an interesting approach for having a quite unique moment for sharing knowledge, sharing information, sharing the novelty when it's possible. You know, sometimes it's not so easy to share novelty because also there are very specific, very strong policy in terms of privacy and dissemination, control of all the dissemination, inter-dissemination of all results. But I think that also the company, however, enjoys the possibility to be present in such event, to share their activity, to share their information, but at the same time to get maybe more, to be more in contact with the people, with technical people, with young people that maybe in the future can become expert, can become part even of their company. So they need to find new people that have high capacity. So training for the young people is also, and applied training for young people is also important. As I said at the beginning, I'm now in the SHS board as a chair of the division. So we are already planning the next executive meeting that will be next summer. And already the new chair, the new president said we need really to open a discussion on how to interact much more with the industry, with the technical people and so on. So I think that my idea is that we should try really to promote even inside all the SHS event that we are going to organize. Is something that I'm really pushing with the blueberry people, with the kiwi people, say consider also the possibility to have a technical event or a school as this, so that you can really create a stronger linkage between the scientific community and the industry. And I think that is really a mutual benefit for the two communities, the scientific community and the industry. So I see that I hope that I will be able to promote such kind of activity, and in the next future, maybe you can be also again involved in new events that in some way we will be able to organize specifically related to berries.
Thank you very much, Bruno, for this conversation, which I think has brought to our attention the importance of looking at what we have and what we had in terms of genetic resources, and look at the future, the new biotechnologies, and where is the consumer going. This, I think, is a key factor we all have to look at, and our berry industry, in particular the blueberries, will be, I think, from now onward, very, very attentive to all these developments, which, as I said, go from genetics to consumer interest and what the consumer are expecting. And this is all part of your breeding value program, a very important program at European level, which, as you said, involves 20 partners in 8 different countries. I would like also to thank you for remembering Bernadine Stick. I think that the whole industry worldwide needs to pay a tribute to her. She really changed the industry in a massive way. I join Bruno in inviting everybody next week to see in Macfruit. International Blueberry Days will really be a huge global event, and there will be a lot to learn, a lot of people to meet, and both knowledge and business together, which I think is a good combination.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the wrap up, Thomas. Thank you, Bruno, for accepting the invitation. It was a pleasure to hear all what you had to say about what you've been doing, and also what is Macfruit and what you expect for the Blueberry School. Thank you, Sihaning, us also to make this happen. We hope that we see a lot of people next, and we want to invite everybody to come, join us, and it will be an interesting week. And thank you for our audience also to be with us. Thank you for assisting this episode. We see you in next weeks also on our streaming live. Don't forget to follow us on our LinkedIn's, YouTube, and Facebook also. And we're gonna be there also to support the industry. Thank you all. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye bye.